Hi, it's Krista again. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Merciless Book 3. It's by Danielle Vega. She's one of my favorite authors, definitely in my top 10 list. Well, actually in my top 5 list, honestly, because I really love her. Even though she's one of the newer authors that I'm reading, I really have enjoyed every book by her that I've read, and this book is no exception to that rule. This book takes place before the first and the second one, and it is actually about Brooklyn and how the demon got into her. So, I went into this book with extremely high expectations. I thought it was going to be the best book in the world, and not to say that it isn't. It just wasn't what I was expecting, to be honest. So in the book, we get a glimpse into Brooklyn's life before she was possessed by the demon, which was then transferred to Sophia. And we get to meet her parents and see her life, and it basically starts off when she starts a teen helpline for suicidal kids and kids who need advice and who need to talk about some stuff. And so basically she gets a call one night, and the girl's saying help, I need help, and so she gets that and she's like, what the hell? So she calls the cops, and they trace the call, and they tell her it's a church. It's the Christ First Church. And then so she follows the police there basically, and when they get there, the police just look through the window and they don't really do much. And so she decides that she could do something, so she tries to break in there, but she doesn't get in. So she goes home and she's like, well, if I couldn't find out any information that way, I'll find out another way. So she starts going on the Christ First website, and she somehow ends up at a party that is hosted by them, okay? And at the party, of course, she has to meet her love interest, okay? The preacher's son, Gavin. And then so she meets Gavin. Of course, he's cute or whatever, because he has to be for book purposes. And so they hit it off really good. The only thing is, there's this girl named Hope. And originally Brooklyn thinks that Hope is his girlfriend, but really it's his adopted sister. And Hope comes into play a little bit more, as I'm going to get into. And so as Gavin and Brooklyn start dating, she obviously becomes friends with Hope. And Hope and Gavin are in a band together, just for background information. And basically Brooklyn's still investigating. She's trying to figure out who that call was from. And so she's asking Gavin all kinds of questions about the kids who go to the church. And so she actually goes out on to hang out with Hope and some of Hope's friends. And there's a girl there. I actually forgot her name. I'm gonna edit this out when I'm looking for her name, okay? Her name is Laura. So they're hanging out at an ice cream shop, and they all got ice cream, okay? And apparently Laura had a crush on Gavin. And so Hope kind of just brought the two together, and even though Laura had a crush on her, she's just trying to say this is her new girlfriend, get over it basically. Or maybe she just wanted to see what would happen, because Riley's there too, so you never know their intentions. And anyways, besides all the high school politics, so Laura gets up because she has to run off to show her feelings or whatever, And as she gets up, she trips. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens. I'm not going to spoil that for you. But I'm going to say that there was a spoon and a loud sound involved, okay? And you can figure out the rest. And so I'll tell you exactly why that scene's important later on, okay? And then so basically her and Brooklyn and Hope become really good friends. And one day Brooklyn and Hope decide to go to a party together, okay? Well, it's Brooklyn's party. It's not Brooklyn's party, but it's a party Brooklyn knew about. So she dragged Hope along, and they get really drunk there. and Hope decides that that is the best time to tell her innermost secrets to Brooklyn. So she tells Brooklyn about like a relationship between her and her brother, and Brooklyn's like disgusted. She's like done with that, and she explains that Hope, she was the one who actually called the helpline and said that she was the one who needed help because her father, Gavin's dad, is beating her, and Gavin's letting it go on because they say that she deserves punishment for like tempting Gavin. But if you read the book, it actually says that Gavin was a drunk one. Gavin like had it first, you know, and he influenced her, he kissed her. And so I mean, obviously like it went where it went because of both of them, but like to say that the blame is completely on Hope is like bull, honestly. But like she finds that out, and then this is the juicy part. Well, it was supposed to be the juicy part. So Brooklyn takes Hope home because Hope is up. So she has to drive her home, and when she's taking her inside, she's like laid her on the couch, and she thinks she's like scot-free, and she's gonna walk out of the house. And then Hope's dad, the preacher, comes and is like, what are you doing? Like, you know? And then so he ends up not being mad. He just was kind of scared. He thought she was a burglar, apparently. Yeah. And he cooks her or brews her a cup of tea, okay? And as she's drinking the tea, obviously she starts to feel funny because he's done something to it. So she wakes up. She's like tied down, and like the exorcism scene is like, it's there. And like I've read a lot of reviews on like Goodreads and Amazon saying how they were tired that every book had some kind of exorcist in it, and they were always, or exorcism, excuse me, exorcist is the person doing it, right? But every kind of comment is saying that, oh, it's always an exorcism, and they're always using the same words to describe it, and like it's boring. Honestly, I'm probably just weird, but I do like the exorcism scenes. I think they're really well done, especially, okay, any chance I can get to like spread my love about the second book, I will. Okay, the second book is my favorite book of the whole entire series, and it's probably in my like my top 10 list of favorite books, just in the way that it kept me reading, it kept me interested, and it was a new plot that I really liked. And this is the second book. It's like right there, okay? And it was actually really good. I really loved it. I really loved the way the plot was. I loved the boarding school. I loved the exorcism. I loved who it was done by. And I loved, my favorite part was the bunny. And if you read this story, you will understand what I mean. But this is not a review on the second book, it's a review on the third book. So I will try to keep my attention on the third book, okay? But it's so hard when, like, honestly, the second book was so good. Anything after that was going to be a letdown. And I should have just went into this book knowing that. But I only realized it after I read it, you know? After I felt the disappointment. But, like, honestly, like, the exorcism in this book is, like, 20 pages, if even that. Like, I mean, not to say that, like, oh, she needs to be tortured for, like, 5 hours, like, the whole night. I'm not saying that, like, that would suck. Any amount of torture is, like, more than you need. But, like, I kind of flipped through it, and I was like, I got to, like, where she's already, like, I'm gonna spoil it, when she's already, like, has him in the bathroom and she's free. And I was like, was that it? Like, was that the whole exorcism? Like, is there another part? Does he break free? Does he grab her again or what? And no, like, nothing happened. I feel like her exorcism wasn't, like, the same as the others. I felt like it didn't have, like, a lot of power to it. I felt like it could have been written better. I love Danielle Vega. I love her writing style. I love the Merciless book series. And I want to read her other book series, and eventually I will once I finish this series, which is my main priority for now. But like, I do love it, okay? I do love her series, so do not get me wrong, okay? Do not get me wrong. I love her, and I love this book. I love this book. And I love the way it was like, I love how it came out, okay? And I love how it filled in some gaps for me, and how it just let me know about Brooklyn. That was just my main point of just like having a backstory behind Brooklyn other than just what I knew about her from the first one and the second one, how she's basically the incarnate form of like evil and how she's such a terrible person. But this kind of takes me back to a time before the series and before she was a bad person or a demon possessed, you know? And it was nice to see that side of her. That will be my number one takeaway from this book, is just seeing how Brooklyn was before. And that's my favorite part of the book, actually, you know? And then the ending was a little bizarre to me, because yes, we know the demon came from Hope. Spoiler alert. Okay, it came from Hope. But when it was like Origins of Evil, and when I was reading the like summary of the book, I was really thinking that it was gonna be like more in depth on where the demon itself came from. Like, it like briefly explains that like when the father was away in like South America, how like he met a man who knew how to do all these exorcisms. And to be honest, I think that it was Father Augustine from the second book, because I also know that he did a lot of missions in the past to like South America and whatnot, and that he knew a lot about exorcism, so that must have been like who they were talking about. And plus it's a character from our own book series, so why would she not loop it in there in some kind of way? But like, I mean, that's smart, to be honest. But that's what I was expecting, more backstory about the demon, and not much like, oh, it's just transferred from this person. Because where did Hope get it from? Was it transferred from another person, like it was from Hope to Brooklyn and Brooklyn to Sophia? Or was it like a demon spirit itself like crawled into her? Or like what? I wasn't given as much information as I wanted to get from it. But it's still an enjoyable book. Like, do not get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to rate it 5 stars simply because, like, basically, just because the exorcism wasn't what I wanted it to be, and because there wasn't enough information about the demon, I felt. Those are my 2 only, like, downvotes on this book, because the rest is, like, perfectly fine. And maybe if I didn't go in with such high expectations after the second book, then it would have been like better to me. But anyone else who reads it will like completely enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And like, the one thing about Danielle Vega is that it's a page turner. You're not going to be able to stop. So please set aside like 4 hours or 2 hours or however long it takes you to read it, and just sit down. And I devoured it in one sitting. And honestly, you probably will too, because once you start turning, like, something's always going on. There's never a dull moment in these books, and that's what I really enjoy about them. So if I had to do out of 5 stars what I would rate it, I would a solid 4. A solid 4. And that's about it for this book review, okay?